It was first thing in the morning, and I watched as 4-year-old Conrad ran over to another child and asked, "Are you my friend?" I could see by the serious look on Conrad's face that he'd been thinking about it for a while and he wanted to make sure. Because when a child says, "Are you my friend?" they're not just asking about friendship, they're asking about belonging, about safety, about whether in that moment they matter. And thankfully, William nodded his answer yes. And the two boys skipped off together to hang up their coats. But as I watched, I found myself thinking about friendship and how slippery it is when you're young, how it can be there one moment and then gone the next, and how maybe when a child asks, "Are you my friend?" what they're really trying to do is make something intangible tangible, or the invisible visible. They want to find out, do I belong? Am I safe? Do I matter? My name's Trisha Lee, and for over 20 years I've been helping children to tell their stories and act them out using an approach called helicopter stories. And over the last few years, I've noticed it's become harder for some children to play together, to enter into each other's ideas, to make up stories together. And the longer I do this work, the more convinced I am that helicopter stories, where children dictate their stories and then act them out, is the best way I know for children to make friends and to feel a sense of belonging with those around them. But don't just take my word for it. A while ago, I spoke to a group of Year 6 children who have done helicopter stories with me, and they'd worked with me from reception right up to Year 2. So I asked them what they thought about the approach. One boy told me that it helped the group to become friends.
Sometimes there's people that you don't really like, but when we were up doing helicopter stories, acting it out, you just didn't really think about it, so you're like friends with everybody.
And a girl told me it helped us play together, to make up stories and know each other well. And this is what I see with every group I work with, because when you use helicopter stories, when they act out stories together, children start to notice each other. And when they notice each other, they become friends. Let me show you what I mean. In one of the classes I work with, there are two boys, Anton and Mateo. Anton has developmental delay, and Mateo only arrived in the UK 2 months ago and has very little English. But through their stories, these two boys have become friends. And every Monday they sit and draw together. And then they bring me their pictures and stand there grinning proudly, waiting to be asked which character they want to play. Anton is always Iron Man and Mateo the Hulk. And as I write their one-word stories, the joy that passes between them is incredible. Because even without a shared language and with all the communication difficulties that they face, Anton and Mateo have found a friendship through telling their stories and acting them out. And then there's 3-year-old Casper from a nursery class I work with. Casper loves dinosaurs. And after only a few sessions, I was about to lead the acting out of his story when Melissa, the girl sitting next to me, said, "Dinosaurs! It's going to be about dinosaurs." And she was right, because Casper loves dinosaurs. And Melissa knew that because she'd acted in some of his previous stories. So she felt a connection to him. And that's what friendship is. That's community. That's knowing what the people around you care about. And this is what develops when children tell us their stories and act them out. But it's also what creates that sense of belonging that enables all children to join in, even though initially they might be reluctant. There's another boy I work with called Gareth who has SEND, and for ages he didn't want to tell a story. And whenever we acted out the other children's stories, he'd sit with his TA watching quietly. But gradually, over the weeks, Gareth moved closer and closer until one day he actually crawled onto the stage and started joining in. And after that, Gareth joined in every week, becoming tigers and superheroes and dragons. And while he was on the stage, he was connecting with the other children in a way that he never had before. Because that's what happens when children feel safe enough to play. They connect with each other. And because of this, their fantasy play becomes richer and more dramatic. "I'm getting lava on me," shouts Ella Beth. "I'll save you," says Kardashia, holding her hand out to catch her friend. "Watch out for the dragon," says Isabel, as they all duck to the ground. This is what connection sounds like. Because you can't be free to imagine unless you feel like you belong. And it's impossible to fly like a dragon or waddle like a chicken unless you trust the others around you not to laugh. And as one of the Year 6 children told me,
I think you should just know that people won't judge you for whatever you do, because they're all doing it as well.
and when you know that you are safe to take risks, when you know that you belong, friendship grows. Maybe that's why I keep thinking back to Conrad's question, "Are you my friend?" Because when children act their stories, they really can be friends with everyone. And if stories like these resonate with you, join our story community. And don't forget to subscribe. It really does help. I'll see you next time.